What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA, and yeah, we got some quick hitters coming up for you right now. 3 topics that I just don't want to spend the whole time putting a whole video together for, so we're just going to have 3 quick topics. 3 topics that came out within the last couple of days that we're going to go ahead and discuss, and 3 very interesting topics all across the board, and 2 of them are things that we've actually discussed before on the channel at length, really. And then one of them is kind of an interesting topic. Didn't see this one coming, and it's an interesting little bit of a rumor. So let's go ahead and check these out real fast. Just a couple of quick hitters, not going to take too long. By the way, if you haven't done so, we got likes buttons, we got subscribe buttons down below. Go ahead and give one of them a click, and that way you can catch up and keep up with all the videos that I'm doing. All right, let's go ahead and check it out. The first topic on the quick hit board is this guy, Mario, and not so much Mario, but this news that came out about Nintendo, and it says Nintendo announces movie studio plans on adapting more games. Now, this is something that I've had many conversations about, and I've been saying, who's going to do this? Who's going to step up and take that slate of video games and turn them all into movies and television shows? Because guess what? That's going to be a moneymaker if you do it right. If you do it correctly, that's a moneymaker. Nintendo is one of the biggest entertainment companies, bar none, over the last 40 years. I mean, you're going back to the original Mario Brothers back in the 80s, Donkey Kong, all of those video games that came out then. And then, of course, the home-based Nintendo Entertainment System and all the systems that came after it, the Super NES, the GameCube, the N64, all of those, now the Switch. I mean, I've had them all, played them with my kids, played them when I was a kid. So, yeah, it's a huge move for Nintendo to finally, at last, come out and say, hey, we're just going to do our own little movie studio. We're just going to take our properties and turn them into live action films or maybe animated films. Now, obviously, the 2 biggest franchises within the Nintendo Entertainment franchise itself are Mario and Zelda. People have been begging, pleading, and crying for a Legend of Zelda live action film. I actually, at one point in time, early in my writing career, sat down and kind of halfway wrote a spec script for what a Zelda film might look like. Just something I was doing in my spare time. I absolutely want that, a live action. I know they're talking about this is going to be an animated studio. All right, that's fine. Nothing wrong with starting out small, Nintendo, but eventually you got to get it up to live action because that's what the people want. And I hope that they're listening to that, because there's a lot of chatter going on right now out there in social media and different areas about live action films for Nintendo. I know the Mario Brothers film that's coming up is going to be animated. That's okay, I think. I think people would probably be all right with the Mario animated film. But Legend of Zelda has got to be live action because it just has to be live action. It's a world that you could really dig into. There's a lot of dramatic storytelling that's going on there. It's not just sheer comedy, right? Like Zelda is like the serious franchise for Nintendo. So I think for that standpoint, they got to go ahead and do it. But let's go ahead and just check this article real quick. Gaming developer Nintendo revealed its intention to purchase an animation studio to develop films based on its IPs. According to Comic Book, the company plans to acquire Dynamo Pictures, a CG animation company that's previously worked on major movies and games. Once attaining 100% ownership on October 3rd, Nintendo affirmed that the company Dynamo Pictures is expected to be changed to Nintendo Pictures COLD. So yeah, it's going to be the Nintendo's Pictures Company, NPC. How about that? I like it. NPC will be its initials. To focus on development of visual content utilizing Nintendo IP. So far, Nintendo has not revealed what IPs it currently plans to adapt, nor if it intends to make all fully animated or partially animated features or television shows. I think that the move is, again, to go animated in some and partial animated in others, but then full live action with certain titles. I came out with my own list, my own checklist, because you know how I do, right? So I came out with my own checklist as to what Nintendo should do in terms of adapting its content. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. All right, so this is Nintendo's checklist that I came up with. And right off the bat, we're talking about some major, heavy franchises. Of course, the number one franchise, in my opinion, would be Legend of Zelda. And I think that has to be a live action film. If you're going to do it right, if you're going to really please your audiences, I think live action is absolutely the way to go. Now, these will have a mix. Some will be animated, some will be live action, and some can have a mix of animated and live action. And Zelda is such a dynamic franchise. There's so much that you can do with it. There's so many different places you can go with Legend of Zelda. It doesn't just have to be live action, obviously, but I think live action would work the best for the action and for the fans. You saw how well things like Game of Thrones are doing. You see so many different shows coming out right now. Rings of Power with the Lord of the Rings, that kind of high fantasy genre. House of the Dragon, of course, Game of Thrones. Willow is coming out. They're going to do their own high fantasy series over on Disney Plus. So I think that doing a live action Zelda could be one of the better ones out of all of them. The magic, the mystery, the monsters, all of that stuff. You cast yourself really good Link, and you get a good Ganondorf, and you get a good Zelda, and you just let it go. And I think honestly that would be one of the best ideas that Nintendo could possibly do right now. And then of course the other one is Mario Brothers. Now I think Mario Brothers can be a mix. I'm not gonna land on, well, it has to be anime or it has to be live action. I think you could get away with doing both. And Mario, again, has so many different options that you could go through. I heard somebody mention Mario Kart. Like, let's do a Mario Kart movie where Mario and, after you build the characters up, of course, but then where everybody's just kind of, getting in this little Grand Prix style race in, the Mushroom Kingdom, and they're going over all of these insane bridges and worlds. And, maybe this is an annual kind of event, and Mario's never won, but now this is his opportunity to win, and he's invited all of these people to join in and try to beat, Bowser or whoever you want to talk about. I mean, I think it'd be awesome. That could be absolutely awesome if you did a Mario Brothers show. And then, of course, you could ultimately come together in your little cinematic universe by doing Smash Bros. I think that would definitely fall in this category under Mario Brothers. You could do a Smash Bros film, kind of like your cinematic universe. Everybody is, gathering together to beat the Master Hand. I don't know if it would be the Master Hand in that case, but whatever would work for the story, I think that would be pretty awesome. So the next film is Metroid, and I think Metroid would absolutely have to be a live action shootouts with monsters and aliens in outer space. I just don't think there's any way you could get away with doing. I mean, you could do an anime, obviously. In my opinion, just live would be better, live action. After that, I say Kirby. Kirby would definitely be one that would be a lot of fun for the younger kids, and it definitely would be anime. Just go through Dream World, enjoy Kirby and all those different characters. I think that would be nice. F-Zero I would do live. I think a lot of people have said that there is an anime, and I've never seen it, but I think that I would still go with the live action version of F-Zero. There's a fun story within that world, and Captain Falcon obviously is one of the bigger known characters, so I think F-Zero would absolutely work. Punch Out, y'all didn't think I was going to go there, but Punch Out, and do it as an anime, kind of a sports anime. I think that would be pretty cool. Punch Out has there's a lot you could do live action as well with Punch Out, but I think it just works better as a anime. Building up, Lil Mac. Hey, go with Lil Mac and just see how far this guy can climb up. And you got all the various characters from King Hippo to Super Macho Man, from the video game series, Bald Bull, there's so many different interesting characters. And I think, building out storylines for each of those as Mac kind of works his way up would be pretty awesome. Star Fox, again, I think that would also be cool as a mix. And when I say mix in this case, I think, maybe a film that's a combination of live action and animation. I don't think necessarily that you have to do like a live action only or an animation only. I think, something like a Sonic, where you have animation, but it's taking place in a real world. I think Star Fox would work well with that. And then finally, Fire Emblem. I think there's more animation opportunities for that. The characters aren't really well known. I mean, they're known, of course, through the Super Smash Brothers game, but I think overall the story would work on both levels. I think it would work as a live action, and then I think it would absolutely work as an anime or something like that. So that's my list, folks. What do you have for your list? Go ahead and let me know in the comments, and then we're going to get on back to the next topic. And then moving on to the next topic, and this one, I think a lot of people didn't see this one coming. This one definitely was a surprise to me. It's this guy right here, the god amongst directors, Steven Spielberg, and some news that came out here on comicbookmovie.com. Fantastic Four, the rumor mill claims that Steven Spielberg is being courted to direct the MCU reboot. All right, so here's the rumor to get you over at the end of Hump Day. It's being claimed that none other than the legendary Steven Spielberg is being courted to helm Marvel Studios' upcoming Fantastic Four reboot. Now, look. I don't think that this would ever happen in a million years, for just the very reason that I think Steven Spielberg would not want to fit into the formula that Marvel makes its movies with. You know, they're kind of a boxed in kind of formula, and I think he would just have a difficult time working within the Feige system, if you will. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and just check out what these folks have to say. So there's a rumor doing the rounds online that none other than Steven Spielberg is being courted by Marvel Studios to helm the upcoming Fantastic Four reboot, which lost its original director in John Watts. There's even whispers that the legendary filmmaker may have already agreed to board the project. Now, before you dismiss this as just another bit of fabricated internet BS, it's worth noting that several reliable, or semi-reliable anyway, scoopers have alluded to the story. Nobody seems ready to report on it just outright yet, and we have heard that Kevin Feige has been speaking to Spielberg about the possibility of directing a future MCU project for some time. Yeah, like, I think Steven Spielberg is an awesome director, and I think he would absolutely knock it out of the park if he decided to make a Fantastic Four film. I think it's right in his wheelhouse. He understands everything that you could possibly understand about a fantasy type genre. Action, he's done that. I don't think he's done anything necessarily comic book related, but he's adapted several different types of mediums, from novels, historical information. You know, I mean, Steven Spielberg has done it all, and there's absolutely nothing that he can't make better. You know, just his touch. I've always wanted him to direct a Star Wars film, but I guess, you know, with George Lucas no longer being in there, it was something that just wasn't going to happen. But I would love to have seen him do a Star Wars film. But a comic book movie, and especially the Fantastic Four, I mean, it would absolutely be great if Steven Spielberg would do it. But then you have to ask the question, why would he do it? You know, like, you're stepping into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's already kind of a, you know, iffy situation right now, you know, the way that Phase 4 has been playing out. So would Steven Spielberg be interested in doing the Fantastic Four? It's also a project that's been very difficult to get off the ground. Like, Fox made, I don't know what, 3 or 4 of them, and they all stunk, you know, and it's just like, I don't know, like, do you really, Steven Spielberg, want to jump into that lion's den, that hornet's nest of Marvel's movies, and, you know, go at it? I mean, like, I remember the last film that he adapted kind of in this same vein was Ready Player One, and that got a lot of mixed reviews. Like, people weren't really ecstatic about that. So, and I don't necessarily think it was all Spielberg's fault, because it's just kind of like, okay, it's the 80s, it's just kind of like a redundant kind of played out theme. I don't think the story was all that great. So Spielberg had like a mountain to climb when it came to adapting that story. But nevertheless, I just think that right now, it's just, I don't think he would do it. I just don't think he would do it. I could be wrong, of course. Like, all of these particular stories might be correct. I thought John Krasinski directing it would be far more reasonable, since he's already in the Marvel family doing Mr. Fantastic. I thought that would be more sensible and more reasonable, in my opinion. But nevertheless, that's the rumor that's out there. What will Feige do when it comes to the Fantastic Four? This Phase 4 has been anything but fantastic. In order to get this whole MCU back on track, I've been saying it for a long time, he should have just jumped straight to the Fantastic Four, found a good director, and knocked the film out at least by next year. You know, okay, we're going to start this thing off slowly. You know, it's supposed to start in 2020, and, you know, that got fast forwarded, unfortunately, due to the pandemic. It starts in 2021, okay, but by 2023, we need the Fantastic Four, Marvel's first family, on the big screen. So Will he, somehow pay Steven Spielberg enough money to come in? We'll have to see. All right, but the last and maybe the most pressing situation that's going on right now are these guys. And you guys know that I've been talking about the Big N, and I've been talking about them, and I've been talking about them, and I've been saying they are in trouble. And T don't believe me. T keeps saying, nah, D, you're just blowing it out of proportion, okay? You're just blowing it out of proportion. I have said for the longest time that Netflix is in deep trouble with all of the competition that's out there. They're in trouble. I've been saying it. Netflix doesn't have the content that people are subscribing to watch, and that's exactly what this article is talking about. Why Netflix loss of licensed titles could spark a content crisis. Now, this is a pretty lengthy article that goes into a lot of numbers and details and all of that. I'm not going to go into that too much, but I am going to kind of point out something that this here showed, this particular chart. Users satisfied or very satisfied with service. And you can see where Netflix is at, okay? You can see where Netflix is at. HBO Max, people are loving it. Disney Plus, love it a little bit less, but still love it. Hulu, they're good. But then you get to Netflix and it's like, ooh, and you see here, this is what's interesting because you see what 2021 is and then where 2022 is. So notice that, okay, HBO Max is getting a little bit better. They're becoming more of a competitor. Disney's about the same. They're right there where they're at. Okay. Hulu is at 87%. And, people like Hulu, it's not a bad service. And, you want to watch some live TV, you want to watch some films from here and there. There you go, Hulu. But then you get to Netflix and it dropped from 90% to 80%. That is humongous. And so that's where the issue is right there. You have a loss of happiness, from the Netflix subscribers. People are not very satisfied, or they're at least losing their satisfaction. 90% to 80%, a 10% drop, while others are either having very minuscule drops, staying the same, or going up. And you can see right behind them, right on their heels, Paramount Plus, 79%. It's like, okay, they were at 75 when Netflix was at 90, and now you see 79 to 80%. Apple TV, 62% to 76%. So the competition is coming, Netflix, and I've been trying to tell you guys, the competition is coming, they're heating up, and there's a couple of things that you need to do if you want to succeed. Number one, you have to grab a major IP that has a big major fan base, okay? You need to get anchored with one of these particular big IPs, right? And you can see HBO Max, we talked about that. They got DC, they got the Wizarding World, okay? On lock. Nothing's gonna change with that. They belong to Warner Brothers. So HBO's got those guys on lock, and they can make all the content that they want. And of course, they've built up some good content also, like Game of Thrones, and they've made that into a mega franchise. So now they have really 3 big mega franchises that they can just continue to make content off of. All right, that's number one. Number two, you got Disney. Who does Disney have? Disney has Marvel. Disney has Star Wars. Enough said. You don't even have to go any further. Those are 2 of the biggest names right now in entertainment. And you can see, even though the Phase 4 is kind of stumbling around here, people are still eating it up. People are still watching it, at least tuning in for it, because they know if I want to get up to date with my Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff, I gotta go to Disney. Netflix needs something like that, okay? Just to kind of stabilize their user base so they're not losing subscribers, okay? That's not about gaining subscribers. I mean, it'll gain some and then they'll kind of like level off, right? So let's say, and I know that they've made some moves with Ghostbusters. I mean, I think that's a okay kind of medium level franchise, got a nice little fan base, and they're going to do a lot of stuff there. I think that that's okay. They've also got Avatar, The Last Airbender. They have that franchise, and it seems like they've made some moves in that direction. But again, kind of a medium franchise. Is not on the level of a Star Wars, a Marvel, a DC. It's not on that level. If their goal is to compete, if their goal is to really compete, they're going to have to pick up a franchise eventually. I've been saying for a while to go after Sony Pictures and go get, they're doing it with Ghostbusters. I think that's smart. But, it's time to like put a ring on it. Stop dating them. Stop, dating them and taking them out and saying, hey, we're going to, no. Drop down on the knee, put a ring on it. Say, hey, Sony, let's go ahead and hook this up. Let's make sure that you have a landing spot for all of your films, all of your entertainment, and we have you. And that is going to help both people in the long run, because at the end of the day, if Netflix doesn't have a grounded franchise to bring people to their platform and keep them there, they're going to fall out of favor. So Sony has Ghostbusters, we said. They have the Spider-Man, of course, and all the Spider-Man, Sony Spider-Man universe, whatever the hell that's going to end up being. They got Jumanji, you know, and then they got everything under PlayStation. So I know they already made Uncharted, and they may be trying to build out another film series somewhere else. But, you know, I think Uncharted is going to end up becoming a nice little film series, making decent money and, you know, bringing, you know, entertainment there. They're also going to be dabbling in video games. So it's just a natural fit for Netflix, because they will be doing all of that, just to go ahead and just, hey, put the ring on Sony's finger, get married, and just lock it up, so that way one of these other folks don't take advantage of it. Because originally I was saying, hey, go with Nintendo. Like, Nintendo already has a whole heap of stuff that they can make, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So if I'm Netflix right now, I'm really seriously talking to Sony about, hey, we're doing Ghostbusters. We're already doing that. You know, hey, why don't we just go ahead and just host all of your Spider-Man cinematic universe? You guys don't have your own streaming service, unlike all of these other guys here. You don't have your own streaming service. So why don't you just go ahead and bring it here? We already got the infrastructure built in. We already have an absolute ton of current subscribers, and we'll grow, you know, with you guys. And then you guys can get a cut of that, or whatever the case may be. I don't know. They got to work that out in the boardroom. But nevertheless, that's what I would do. And I think that if Netflix is smart, they'll do it. If not, this is a very, very scary time for Netflix. They're losing subscribers. Their stock price is plummeting into the ground. And, you know, people, you can see it's a satisfaction. People are not satisfied with Netflix the way they used to be. But anyway, folks, what do you think about those three topics? Any of those three? You got Nintendo, you got Steven Spielberg, and you got Netflix. Go ahead and give me your comments down below. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time.